Hello YouTube, Sidekick here with another Viggen video, but it's a little bit of a different video today. Until now in the Viggen series, we've been doing kind of some basic tutorial videos on how to use the Viggen's weapons, but today we're actually going to fly a mission. It's the first in what I hope will be a series of missions to practice basic Viggen weapon skills, but I wanted to try and do it in a historical context that actually makes sense for the Viggen. Because remember, the most important thing about the Viggen, of course, is it's Swedish. And seriously, though, that means that it was designed with some very specific situations and missions in mind. And to make sense of how to fly it, you actually kind of need to keep those situations and missions in mind. And they're a little bit different than what you encounter when you look at, for instance, other NATO countries. So the flight's going to take a little while. So I'm actually taking off. And once we get in the air, I will actually set the backstory and talk a little bit about the mission that we're going to be flying. Okay, so let me set the scene. It's May 1976, the height of the Cold War. Tensions have finally boiled over, and with the United States reeling from the end of the Vietnam War and domestic issues, the Soviets have decided that they might never have a better chance, and they've attacked NATO. Now, the main effort has been through the Fulda Gap and across the North German Plain, kind of as expected, but the Soviets have also been active on NATO's northern flank. In the first week of the war, they invaded Finland and basically put the Finns out of the war. Swedish forces have obviously been mobilized, and based on that situation, they've been moved to the Finnish border. But the Soviets have also launched a thrust north through Norway with the goal of capturing Tromsø, which is the site of some air and naval bases, and it's basically part of a strategy to threaten the sea route from North America to Europe. So with that in mind, it's important for the Soviet to actually capture Tromsø fairly quickly before the massive reforge or redeployment really gets going. But the thrust through Norway has been bogged down due to spirited resistance from the Norwegians and also somewhat difficult terrain along the coast. So in order to bypass this opposition, the Soviets have actually decided to invade Sweden. You see, there's a railway that runs from Boden in Sweden at the head of the Gulf of Bothnia across the Swedish sort of boreal plain and into Norway, and that railway ends at Tromsø. The Soviets intend to outflank the Swedish forces along the Finnish border, seize Boden, and then use it as a jumping-off point to get to Tromsø from the south. They've launched an air-mobile assault on Boden with the aim of gaining a quick air bridgehead, which can then be reinforced by sea with heavier mobile forces. The initial assault was a surprise, and it did overwhelm the defenders in Boden, although they were able to do significant damage to the port and airport facilities before they withdrew. Reinforcements have been rapidly redeployed from the border, and we have managed to contain the Soviets within a bridgehead around the town for now. But we do have intel that they have managed to get the airbase back in operations, and reinforcements are beginning to arrive by air. We also have heard that they have managed to land a single SAM battery, as well as some light AAA to protect the airport and the bridgehead. And so that's probably all we need for the backstory. From there, let's actually pick up the mission briefing. Okay, as you can see, we've taken off from our forward base, where we had been stationed to protect the Finnish borderline. Unfortunately, the Soviet bridgehead has expanded to the point now where that base is put in danger, so we're going to have to move to a forest road base, and in fact, that's actually where we'll be landing at the end of the mission. Our mission this evening is to disrupt the Russian air resupply effort. Now, the airport at Boden is actually pretty close in a straight line, but a direct approach would take us over the ridgeline and expose us to the Soviet SAM tracking radar, and give them warning that we're coming, neither of which things we want to do. So we're going to head around the Soviet bridgehead and out along the coast, flying right down on the deck. We expect that the SAM radar is actually inland a little ways, so that if we fly in low enough, we can use the coastal hills to mask our approach. We're hoping to actually catch an actual unloading operation underway. So we're loaded with rockets to attack point targets basically on the runway. We're not after the airport, we're after the actual vehicles and aircraft. We'll egress low and work our way around the other end of the bridgehead before turning inland and flying over the ridgeline and finding our way back to our new forest base home. Okay, you can see that we are now on our way to waypoint 2, which is actually up in the middle of that lake up there. We're not flying too low just yet. By Viggen standards, this is positively comfortable. We're well over, we're a little bit over 100 meters. You can see there's a line of low hills to the left. We're looking left. That's actually the ridge line that separates us from the Soviet bridgehead and also from the water. So once we go past this waypoint, we're going to start working our way around the end of the bridgehead, and we're going to have to start getting a little bit lower. Alright, making the turn to waypoint 3. As we're doing that, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the rationale for how this mission is laid out and how hopefully this series of missions are going to go. I actually spent a fair bit of time talking this over and testing it with Bishop, who is Swedish and was able to provide some background documents as well as some insight into the way the Swedes approached the Cold War. So for one thing, this actually is a scenario that the Swedes actually worried about during the Cold War. They assumed that the Soviets would make pretty short work of Finland in the opening days of any conflict, and that the Soviets would try to outflank NATO through northern Norway. There is, in fact, a railway that runs from Boden to Bodo in Norway, and it was identified as a possible target for a Soviet attack. Okay, you can see we've made the turn. We're headed out towards the coast, and we're also getting a fair bit lower now because we want to stay below that search radar so that basically nobody sees us coming and has a chance to get off the runway. So where was I? Yeah, it's also true that it's Swedish doctrine called for the Viggen units to deploy from their peacetime bases, which were basically full air bases, to forward tactical air bases, which actually weren't used during peacetime. They were kind of semi-secret, but they were still reasonably easy to identify if you knew what you were looking for. It was expected, though, that fairly quickly after hostilities opened, the strike aircraft would have to move to forest road bases, which were going to be much better camouflaged, and that's where they would operate from for the remainder of the conflict. So that's what we're doing at the end of this mission. All right, we've reached the coast. Now we're just going to have to turn back up the coast, and we're going to come at the airport. As you can see from the map I showed earlier, it's going to be to our left. And now we're right down on the deck doing the Viggen thing. So the other thing to note, and so now we're going to turn back up along the coast. So in terms of the way the mission is set out, this loadout of basically a full load of rockets would be typical of this kind of mission, where we're looking at taking out basically aircraft and maybe vehicles on the actual runway. If we had actually been targeting the infrastructure of the airbase itself, the hangars and things, we might have actually been armed with bombs, but that's not the objective tonight. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, we're back in very familiar Viggen territory. We're over the water, we're flying low. Getting ready for our final run into the target. We need to get our QFE set to the target value so that we can make sure that we have an accurate weapons prediction. So we'll do that. Okay, so as a reminder, we're carrying a load of ARAC rockets, so we're going to have our weapon selector set to attack. We're going to use them at normal range, so we're going to set the switch to SERIE, S-E-R-I-E, which is the normal range mode of attack for the rockets. When we start our pop-up into the target, we're going to put the master mode switch to A and F, and we're also going to unsafe the trigger. Okay, that will be the sequence of events when we're approaching the target. For now, though, we're just trying to stay low. We need to stay low enough that the hills mask us from that search radar, so there's no warning whatsoever that we're coming. I'm just adding a little bit of speed, so we've gone to the first afterburner row here. And we're just going to work our way around the coast. And when we see the harbor appear on our left, we're going to pop up, identify the runway. Hopefully we'll find some targets on the runway. Fire the entire load of rockets in one salvo, and we'll be done for the evening. Yeah, we just need to get out, get a little bit of sea room here, so we have enough room to actually see the airport as it comes around the headland. Lined up on our last waypoint here. Get nice and low. Let's get lined up on that waypoint. There, it's coming on screen now. And I'm going to flick to the target here pretty soon. Rather than waiting until we actually pass the initial waypoint, I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra time to see where the target is. Flick to target now. I know approximately where it is. It's at the end of this headland here. Ready for the pop-up. Got 2 rows of afterburner in now. Looking to the left there. Just coming around the end of that headland. Just a little bit farther now. Go just around the headland there. There it is. Up we go. We're in A&F mode. Pick up the target. I see something on the runway there. Lift vector to target. Pull the lift vector down. Hold out. Get rolled out. Get lined up. Get stabilized on the target. Wait for the indication. There it is. And we can hear the radar's found us now, but I think it's too late. Time to get down and get out of dodge. Yeah, we can hear that radar squawking in the background now, but we'll be far enough away and low enough that that won't be a problem. All right, now that we're finally out of danger, maybe let's take a minute and see if we see what it looked like from the other side of that attack. There's our runway, yes, complete with trucks lined up. Aircraft unloading. Well, it was unloading. And there we go. A little bit of AAA following us out of town. All right, time now to just concentrate on getting low. Getting down towards the end of where we know the bridgehead is. So we're going to turn inland here. Soon. Head up over the ridgeline, and then the only challenge is going to be finding that forest road base. And it looks like it's going to be reasonably dark by the time we're trying to attempt a landing, which also could be a little bit exciting. The odd chirp from the radar there. Okay, we're coming up on the turning point. It's set as a waypoint here, so we're coming. Waypoint is set to be beyond the edge of the Soviet bridgehead, so here we are. So let's turn inland, headed up into the ridge. Right, well, we should be well away from that Soviet SAM radar site, but nonetheless, until we're actually over on the other side of the ridge, we're going to take precautions here and fly fairly low. down in the valleys here. Once we pop up over the ridge and we put some distance between us and the bridgehead, we'll be able to relax and get up to a slightly higher altitude. We'll keep working our way inland here. Our next waypoint is actually just the waypoint that's the final turn to the forest road, so we don't have to fly directly there. We can afford to follow the terrain across the ridges here. Basically coming up on the ridge line here. Once we get over this last ridge line, I think we'll be able to relax a little bit. One more very tactical ridge crossing here. And now we're getting, we see the valley on the other side, so we can start to relax a little bit, bring the altitude up a little bit. Probably don't need to fly every minute of this flight all the way back to base. So let's roll the footage forward here just a little bit. Okay, here we are near the end of the flight. We're coming up on the forest road base. That forest in front of us is actually the road along the edge of that is actually going to be our runway. So we're coming up to set ourselves up here for the downwind, a new air base. A good look at it. There we go. Okay, I can see the edge of the trees. Fly along parallel to that. And we're going to do a tactical short field landing, obviously. There's the road. Running along the tree line, that's going to be the runway. It's nice and long anyways, so we'll go down here a little farther and put ourselves into landing mode. And get ready to land at our new home. So hope you enjoyed that mission. The mission is available on my Discord server if you want to come by and pick it up. Please say hello if you do. Let me know if you download it. Let me know what you think of it if you give it a try. Obviously, it's a single-player mission, because I wanted it to be something that anybody could try, but it certainly would make a great multiplayer mission if anybody wanted to try it out with a couple of friends and actually turn it into a multiplayer mission. I'm happy to help you do that, but if you want to do it on your own, let me know how it goes. As I said, I'm hoping that this will be the first of a few missions that we do like this to try and put the Viggen in a situation that, in a scenario that it was basically designed for, and see what it would be like to fly those kinds of missions. So you can assume there'll be lots of low-level flying. We're certainly going to end up having to do some anti-shipping missions. Haven't looked at the anti-shipping weapon systems yet, but we'll take a look at those. There. Ourselves pull around on base here. And lining ourselves up for final. Right, once again, I hope you enjoyed that first installment of the Boreal Backhand series. Let me know what you think. As always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more. Drop by the Discord if you have any comments or suggestions about other missions we should do. And once I get this set down, right about there, this is going to be Sidekick. Signing off.